Hey, I want to take a moment today to address something that's really kind of got my goat a little bit today. I've been following the media coverage of what's going on in Colorado right now, and there's some things being said that are really agitating me. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, a young woman in Florida who is very infatuated with the Columbine murders and other mass murders in general, well, she made some threats on the anniversary of the Columbine murders. Well, after making these threats, she bought a plane ticket, actually flew there, and then when she got there, she bought a shotgun. That kind of scared some officials, and they closed down schools and they went looking for her. And it ended up with her being found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That's the reported story right now. Well, I want to address two things. One, I want to address the media on TV today that have been grilling the people who made the decision to close the schools for fear of someone coming in there and shooting someone about, oh, don't y'all think you overreacted and what justified this? And it's just one person, blah, blah, blah. And to these people, I want to say, shut the fuck up. You are the same whiny motherfuckers that if they hadn't have done anything and someone had lost their life, especially a child in a school, you would have been all over them. You would have demonized them. You would have, posted their addresses, their personal information, everything, trying to get people to go after them because they didn't do everything they could do. But this time they actually did something preemptive and no one died except for the person that was willing to take her own life. So if that's true, she was also willing probably to take other people with her. And she went there specifically with the intent of taking other people with her according to her own words and her own actions. So attacking them for like, oh, you're abusing your power and you're overreacting, blah, 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 when it ended the way it should end. And you're the same people, like I said, that would have destroyed them if anything else would have happened that they had not done what they did. I just want to say to you, shut the fuck up. You whiny, fickle little bitches. You'll never be happy about anything. You're never happy unless you're spreading fear and anger and distrust. So just shut the fuck up. We've heard enough from you. But the main thing I want to address today is not that. That's one of the things. But the main thing I want to address is people now that are going after the gun shop that sold her a shotgun. Because when she arrived in Colorado from Florida, she bought a shotgun. And she bought it at, I think it was Colorado Gun Brokers. And people were like, why would they sell her this gun? Oh my God, why should they deny her? And why should she even be allowed to buy that gun? Blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people are saying, she flew in from Florida after making threats and then got there and they allowed her to buy a shotgun. There should be laws against that. Well, why? Why should there be laws against that? And why would you blame the shop owners for doing their duty, basically, in honoring her ability to exercise her Second Amendment rights? At the same time, law enforcement was doing the right thing to make sure she didn't abuse her Second Amendment rights. And they're like, well, there's no reason to let someone who just landed on an airplane, buy a gun. Well, they don't know she just landed on an airplane. And a lot of people are like, well, she obviously had an ID from Florida. It wouldn't be a Colorado ID, so she should be able to buy a gun. Well, you can buy a long gun and go across straight lines. If you look at most gun laws, they're not designed to actually make anybody safer. They're designed to prevent the wrong people from owning handguns or guns that they can use to defend themselves, usually minorities or low-income people, which is why things like shotguns, etc., things that are favored by FUDs and hunters are kind of left out of the mix because the government doesn't see them a threat to their sovereignty and their absolute power. But that aside, she just flew in, she bought a shotgun. And people are like, these people are monsters for selling her a gun. Well, really? Let's look at the story. You're working behind a gun counter and a young woman comes in. She says, just moved here. Me and my two daughters were on our own. My husband, I don't know what she can say. My husband left me. My husband died in Iraq. She can make up whatever story she wants. Guy behind the counter is not going to know the difference. She said, right now we're staying in a hotel until I get till my apartment's ready on the 1st, because it's like, 10 days till the end of the month now, a little bit more than that. So she'd be like, oh, we're staying in a hotel. It's not in the best part of town. We're waiting for our apartment to be ready. I just don't feel safe. I want to buy something that I can use to just keep in the hotel room and make sure me and my kids are safe. Or she could have even made up a story saying, in case my husband finds us. Let's say my husband, we left an abusive husband and he may chase me here and I just want to make sure I have something in the hotel room to protect myself and my children because he's threatened our lives. Now you tell me if you're behind the gun counter, you wouldn't be like, yeah, you need to get a shotgun and you need to protect yourself. Especially after she fills out a background check, gets fingerprinted, etc. She passes the background check, FBI check. She's a good law-abiding citizen that's never broken the law. And now you're going to blame that clerk for selling her the gun, which is her absolute constitutional right to buy? Don't blame the clerks. They didn't do anything wrong. They did what they should have done. Now, if someone's giving off red flags, like someone comes in, looking suspicious, acting odd. I've seen many a gun shops tell people, get out. You're not buying a gun here. You're giving off weird vibes, etc. That happens all the time. This woman, there's no reason to assume she was giving off any weird vibes. They said it seemed like a very standard deal. So they had no reason to doubt, no reason to think she was a potential mass killer. Because here's the thing, most of us aren't. The vast majority of people go in that shop are not potential mass killers. We would never do that. Most gun owners would never do that. And when I say most, I don't mean like 80%. I mean like 99.99% of us would never do that. Just look at how many millions of gun owners there are in the world, and how many, or in the United States, and how many mass murderers there are in the United States that use a firearm. That would tell you not even a tiny, tiny percentage. So to think that they should just assume that something was up, or that she should not be allowed to buy a gun because, she came in from out of state. Well, here's the thing. What if that story was true? What if she was a mother of 2 young children fleeing an abusive husband who said, if I can't have you, I'm going to kill all 3 of you? And then she went into a gun shop where she just moved and said, I just want a shotgun to defend myself and my children. And they said, sorry, you're from out of state. You can't buy the shotgun. And then she went back to her hotel room. Her husband showed up, killed all 3 of them. I think that's more of a tragedy. And here's the thing. That's more likely, far more likely than her being a mass killer. So the people attacking the gun shop people, you can also shut the fuck up. They did everything right. They did everything they should do based on the information they had. Everything was legal. Everything was above board. So stop blaming them. It's not their fault. This young woman is the person that had the mental issue, the one that needed help. And now here's the thing about people that are in those conditions, and having been a mental health professional a lot of my life, they are the best at conning you. They make the best stories. They create the best lies. They craft this whole diorama of lies that it is really hard to see through if you don't know they have an issue, if you don't know they have a psychosis. So it's not the gun shop's fault. This type of person is very good at doing this kind of thing. And like I say, she wasn't a criminal. So they had no reason to assume she was a criminal. So don't blame them. Stop bitching about what law enforcement did in this case. I'm not a big fan of law enforcement, but in this case, I think they did the right thing. I would much rather they cancel school for my son today and he be safe than I would them take a chance and roll the dice of whether the person was actually going to show up at the school or not, if they knew there was someone armed in the vicinity wanting to shoot up the school. Much rather he come home for a day. A day of school is easy to make up. A lost life can never be made up. So shut the fuck up. So that's basically what I want to say. Shut the fuck up to the people blaming them for overreacting, and really shut the fuck up to the people blaming the store owners for actually selling her the gun, because selling her the gun was the right thing to do. Just in this case, it happened to be some bad circumstances that some bad things could have happened. But most of the time, that's not the case. And I'm not going to base laws and what I think people should do on that 1 in a million case, when the other 999,999 times, the right thing to do would be allow her to exercise her Second Amendment rights. And that's what we base things on. So if you got a problem with that, shut the fuck up.
Oops.
Hit some lady at 46 South Road. 46 South Road.
Station 1 call, retone that please. 10-4. Captain 4 will be going to that location also. This is 1-9, is that correct?